Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well this morning. I woke up thinking about my grandma. I couldn't get her out of my head. So I wanted to share my story about taking care of my grandma at 28 years old. She was 77. She had Alzheimer's disease. And before I started taking care of her when I was 28, the last time I saw her was back in, I believe, 1993, when she still had a sound mind. She still knew who I was. I'm sorry, talking about my grandma is very emotional for me. So if I pause and get teary-eyed, bear with me. She holds an extremely special place in my heart. So in 1998, got some tickets for my son and we moved out to Colorado. We packed up the little belongings we had and we moved in with my grandparents so I could be a part-time caregiver for my grandma. I was the morning caregiver. Grandpa had somebody in the afternoon to come and take care of her, and then in the evenings, Grandpa would take care of her. It was just so heartbreaking to see that she didn't remember anybody. She had no idea who I was, but that's okay, because even though she didn't remember me, I knew all the love that she gave me as a child. So in the mornings, I would dress her, comb her hair, help her with her bathroom needs, make breakfast. And she always wanted to go outside. She loved being outside. So I would take her for little small walks. She would hold on to my arm and I would hold on to hers because she was very frail. We would go for small walks because I knew she couldn't go very far. I'd pick flowers for her so she could smell them. She absolutely loved that. And every time we went back inside, she wanted to go back outside again. We went out for several walks during the day, several small walks, just breathing in the fresh country air, smelling the flowers, listening to the birds. There were two things that made my grandma happy: going outside and music. She loved music. We always put records on and she'd be smiling and clapping, and it was beautiful. Even though my grandmother didn't remember me, I am very grateful that I had that chance to take care of my grandma, to be there for her, and she was always there for me. But it soon became apparent, very quickly became apparent, that I had to take over at least one of my grandpa's responsibilities at night. And that was bathing my grandma. For two nights, I listened to my grandpa giving my grandma a bath, and my grandma was screaming. She was terrified that she was going to drown, and she kept screaming at my grandpa, saying, "You're the devil, you're trying to drown me." And it was traumatic for both of them. Grandpa always had a short fuse, so he was screaming back at her. So I talked to Grandpa and I told him I wanted to take over the bath routine. And I did. He gladly handed that over to me. And bath time went a lot easier because I didn't scream at her. She didn't call me the devil. She wasn't screaming at me. But she was scared. She was very afraid that she was going to drown. Now, I never put that much water in the bathtub because I knew this. I heard this from my grandpa giving her a bath, that she was terrified of drowning. And I'm thinking maybe somewhere in her childhood, maybe she almost drowned. I really don't know. But at this point, she was terrified of drowning. And bath time went a lot smoother. I was calm. I talked to her in a low, quiet voice. And she would look up at me. She's like, "Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown." And I'm like, "Grandma, I've got you. You're not going to drown." There was no screaming at all. I'd give her bath. She would hold on to my arm, so it was kind of hard to give her a bath with one hand, but I did because that made her feel more comfortable. So I added that to the night routine because I could not let my grandma go through that much trauma during bath time. Pause to recompose myself. But the one responsibility I did not have with Grandma was the medications. She was on a lot of medications, and Grandpa kept that routine. Made sure she got all of her medications. I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of Grandma. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I'm not going to apologize for the way I'm feeling. But Grandma always had a special place in my heart. I grew up in California. My grandparents moved to Colorado. Maybe in 1978, Grandpa built his cabin, so I didn't get to see them very often once they moved to Colorado. But I remember as a child, I was very creative. Even being dyslexic and having a super hard time at school, I was always creative, and I was always writing these little stories, and I'd send them off to Grandma, and Grandma would be, "You should be an author." I never was. I really don't have any writing talent. But she was always there for me. She was always there with a smile and a hug. She was a beautiful soul. And this right here, I don't know if you can see very well, but this is a portrait of my grandma. A tattoo of my grandma. I remember when this tattoo was still fresh. I had gone to the grocery store. I was wearing short sleeves, and this woman came up to me and she asked me, she's like, "Why did you get a tattoo of yourself?" And I looked at her completely confused because I didn't think I looked exactly like my grandma. And then I told her it was my grandma. And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm not Steve-O. But anyways, I'm getting sidetracked. It was very heartbreaking for me. I was just so sad caring for my grandma to see that she didn't remember anything, that she could no longer do anything for herself. And one thing I remember is she was always crying out for her younger brother, Burl, James Burl Johnston. She was always crying out for Burl to help her with something. And Grandpa, being Grandpa with the short fuse, would yell at her, "Burl's not here." And I always took a different approach with Grandma. I never yelled, I never screamed, I never lost my temper with her. And whenever she would call for Burl and she needed help with something, I would go right up and I would ask her what she needed. "Oh, I want to go for a walk. Can you put some music on for me?" I mean, we usually had music on in the house because she just loved it. Just clapping and smiling as big as she could. It was beautiful. But it's very hard to be a caregiver. I knew this was going to happen. That's why I have my hanky. But it was very hard being a caregiver. Just watching her mental stability was no longer there. But I would not trade that for the world. I am so thankful I had that chance to be there for my grandmother. She was such a sweet, gentle soul. Now, I wasn't able to take care of her for very long. A few months at most. My grandpa had gotten sick. And he went to the town doctor. Now, we lived in an extremely small town. There were no hospitals. The nearest hospital, I think, was like an hour away. So he went to the town doctor, and the doctor said, "Oh, you've got the flu." Well, that turned out that wasn't the case. He ended up going to the VA hospital, probably up in Denver, which was hours and hours away. And the doctors there told him he had a silent heart attack and that he could no longer take the altitude in Colorado. So he moved him and Grandma to Minnesota, where one of my aunts lived. And he put my grandma in an assisted living facility where she spent the rest of her days. And he got himself a little assisted living apartment. I didn't get to see them during that time. I had stayed in Colorado. I had gotten married, if that's what you want to call it. But anyways, I'm not going into that story. That's not what this is about. Oh, but I wasn't able to go and visit my grandparents. But they both passed away in 2005. Grandma passed away first. And then I think a few months later, Grandpa passed away. But even though I never got to see them again after they left for Minnesota, I am still thankful that I was able to keep in contact with Grandpa. I miss them so much. So I've talked in circles enough. I hope you're still bearing with me. Have you ever been a caregiver for somebody that you loved? Please let me know in the comments. What struggles did you face? I would like to leave you with this poem that I found. This poem is called Don't Ask Me to Remember by Mr. Owen Darnell. Don't ask me to remember. Don't try to make me understand. Let me rest and know you're with me. Kiss my cheek and hold my hand. I'm confused beyond your concept. I'm sad, sick, and lost. All I know is that I need you. To be with me at all cost. Don't scold, curse, or cry. I can't help the way I'm acting. Can't be different though I try. Just remember that I need you. That the best of me is gone. Please don't fail to stand beside me. Love me till my life is done. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful day. And remember to hold your loved ones close. Hold them very close to you. Until next time, wander slowly and breathe deeply.